Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that all the fears that have held you back in life were not real. This is not an optical illusion or a mental trick, but a profound truth that could change the way you see the world forever. Fear rules much of our existence. It blocks us, pushes us to doubt ourselves, and makes us see obstacles where they do not exist. But what if there was a method to free ourselves from this mechanism? A method discovered centuries ago by a man who dared to challenge every convention and who, for this, was erased from his own community? Today you will discover the secret of Baruch Spinoza, a philosopher who changed the history of thought and who could transform your life too. If you want to learn more about other personal and spiritual growth topics, subscribe to the YouTube channel Holistic Strategy and activate notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And now, let's begin this journey into the philosophy of inner freedom. Who was Baruch Spinoza and why were his ideas erased? Baruch Spinoza was born in 1632 in Amsterdam, in a very strict Sephardic Jewish community. From a young age he stood out for his intelligence and his critical spirit. While most people accepted the truths imposed by religion without asking questions, Spinoza sought deeper answers. What is God really? Why does pain exist? Are we truly free, or is everything already written? His ideas were revolutionary and dangerous because they questioned the very foundations of his culture. He did not believe in a God who rewards or punishes, but in a universe governed by necessary and immutable laws, devoid of moral judgment. At only 23 years old, the Jewish community excommunicated him with a very severe sentence. No one could speak to him, help him, or even pronounce his name. Spinoza was erased from his community, abandoned by his family and friends. For many, such a fate would have been devastating. But Spinoza transformed solitude into strength. He earned his living by polishing lenses and devoted the rest of his time to writing and thinking, developing a system of thought capable of freeing man from fear and suffering. Why do we live in fear? Every day our mind generates fears that limit our actions and our energy. We fear failure and postpone important decisions. We fear the judgment of others and live trying to please them. We flee from uncertainty, clinging to illusions of control. But are these fears real, or are they just interpretations of reality? Spinoza offers us a radical perspective. Fear does not come from events themselves, but from the way we perceive them. It is not the future that scares us, but the images we construct in our minds. Think of how many times you have feared something that then did not happen. Or how many sleepless nights you have spent worrying about a problem that the next day turned out to be insignificant. Suffering, according to Spinoza, arises from our resistance to reality. We suffer not because of what happens, but because we refuse to accept it. The power of perception, how the mind creates suffering. Imagine two people facing the same difficulty, for example the loss of a job. One might experience it as an insurmountable tragedy, feeling humiliated and terrified for the future. The other might see it as an opportunity to reinvent themselves and find new paths. The event is the same, but the level of suffering varies depending on the mental perspective. Our mind builds rigid expectations of how things should be. When reality does not reflect them, we experience frustration, disappointment, and pain. It is not the event itself that causes us suffering, but the fact that we oppose what is. Spinoza invites us to see the world for what it is, without superimposing personal desires or fears. This does not mean being passive, but rather stopping fighting against what we cannot change and focusing on what we can transform. Spinoza's secret to freeing yourself from fear. Spinoza offers us 3 fundamental keys to free ourselves from fear and suffering. 1. Observe emotions with detachment. When you feel fear or anxiety, stop for a moment. Ask yourself, is this a real danger or is it just an idea in my mind? Is there really something concrete that threatens my safety? Often you will find that fear is just an illusion. 2. Use reason to see reality clearly. The mind tends to dramatize situations and imagine catastrophic scenarios. But if we rationally analyze what scares us, fear loses power. Train yourself to see things for what they are, without being carried away by emotions. This will help you make wiser decisions and live with greater serenity. 3. Accept what you cannot change. The world follows its own rules, regardless of what we want. Every moment spent fighting against what we cannot control is a moment stolen from the possibility of growing and building something new. It is not about giving up, but about shifting your energy to what you can truly transform. The power of awareness. Spinoza died without riches, without honors, and without followers. But his thought has survived the centuries because it touches on a universal truth: fear and suffering do not depend on events, but on how we interpret them. What happens to us has less power over us than we think. It is our mind that decides whether to turn it into a prison or a lesson. When we understand this, we stop being victims of our thoughts and begin to live with lucidity. True freedom lies not in controlling the world, but in understanding how it works and adapting to it wisely. And you? How many times have you suffered not for what happened, but for how you interpreted it? How many times has fear blocked you, only to discover that the danger was only in your mind? Write in the comments what fears you would like to overcome and share this video with anyone who can benefit from it. Spinoza offers us a choice: to live imprisoned by our illusions or to free ourselves and see reality clearly. Now it's up to you to decide. If you want to continue your growth path, subscribe to the Holistic Strategy channel and leave your precious like. In this way you will help to always create new content. See you in the next video.